Namaskaram. Welcome to my channel BPK Nutrition, Mind Body Healing with Pushpa. I'm Pushpa Soundarajan, a registered dietitian, Ayurvedic practitioner and a yoga teacher. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the processing of food, how the cooking methods, and if some of them are good for us or harmful to us. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. In last week's episode, I had talked about 8 different factors that can alter the nature of the food and have an impact on our body. If you haven't watched it, I would suggest you go watch that. But again, today's episode is going to be about one of those factors called Karana, which I covered last time. So Karana is basically kind of how you process the food, cooking methods that we use that can alter the nature of the food when we eat them. So they could, especially if some foods have harmful properties or not digestible, then there are things that we can do to make them more digestible. So that is what I'm going to be talking about. It is also called samskaras. So when you do a samskara, it is a process of converting the food into a different quality, so it is actually useful and helpful for our body. So there are 5 of these suggested by Charakacharya in Charaka Samhita, and those are the things I'm going to be covering today. The first treatment is water treatment, adding water to the food, to the raw food. Now this is called Toya Sannikarsha in Sanskrit. So what we do here is you're soaking the grain, and usually, especially with dry beans and peas, pulses and lentils and all of this, we always try to soak the food. There are so many advantages to doing that, and I wanted to list them one by one. The first advantage, of course, is when you soak them, what happens is you're removing a lot of those gas forming sugars from the pulses or the chickpeas or red kidney beans, whatever the beans may be. So basically what we do is we soak it overnight in water, and the next morning you take it, you drain the water out, wash it a couple of times, and then you cook it. So you actually removed a lot of the gas producing sugars from the dry beans and peas. Second thing, of course, the advantage of soaking is it helps to soften the seeds a little bit. So when you cook it, it takes less time to cook it, less energy used, so it is much faster to cook it. The third thing is the coating, the covering of the skin of the pulses or the dry beans and peas have something called tannins. Now these tannins actually impede the digestion or mess the digestion, makes it much harder to digest, and sometimes not digested fully and can form ama. And this ama, which is the toxins, can go and block the microchannels and causing inflammation and diseases and things like that. So that is a third advantage. The fourth advantage is of course sprouting. Now this is something a lot of people are doing nowadays, making sprouts and adding them to salads, soups and things like that. So when you do sprouts, you can actually soak them between the pulses between 24 to about 72 hours, or some of them even longer, 7 to 10 days, things like that, depending on longer sprouts if you want. So when you do that, what happens is you're actually increasing the nutritional quality of the sprouts, as well as you're helping with your digestion. So even if it's eaten raw, you're actually digesting it so much better. Fifth thing, of course, is there are a lot of minerals in these pulses, like calcium, phosphorus, zinc, magnesium. And because these pulses have phytates in them, like a fiber, which actually binds these and makes it less available to our body and less absorption, when you soak it, it actually makes it more bioavailable. So you absorb more of those minerals when you eat them. Then you have protein degradation, which happens in these pulses. So because the protein degradation happens, you are able to digest the protein in the pulses much better. Then the studies have also shown that it actually decreases the fat content by about 17 to 60%. And it also increases the fiber content quite a bit, like 50% at least. So these are some of the advantages of soaking or sprouting. And this is something that we should be doing on a regular basis. The second samskara is called fire treatment or Agni Sannikarshana. So here what we're doing is you're introducing fire to create lightness in the food. So some examples of cooking methods in the modern times you can think of is baking, grilling, and also air frying can be considered one of them that we're doing more of nowadays, and roasting things as well in the oven. So these are all some examples of Agni Sannikarshana or heating with Agni. So this is actually good for Kapha dosha because you want the lightness of the food to decrease the kapha in the body. So let's look at some examples. First of all, wheat is very hard to digest because it is heavy, it is guru in nature. So because of that, when you add water to that and make it into a dough, then you make it into flat bread like a chapati or roti, then you make it into pulka or you put it on the fire and warm it up, it actually makes it lighter. Another method of cooking, which is charcoal based heating, which is tandoori oven, right? They use a tandoori or these, these pizzas made in the fire bake oven or whatever. So all of these things also make the dough lighter. And also the papad is another example that especially in the south we use a lot of that when we eat our food. So that is also done on the heat. So all of these things make the food lighter to taste. Then the third thing, of course, is introducing heat to the fire, to the water itself. So you're boiling the water. So when you boil the water, it has a lot of advantages. It first of all helps to purify anything that you put in the water. Then the second thing is water, the boiled water can help you digest things better. It kindles the Agni. It can clean any impurities that are there in the food. Then it can also help to pacify Vata and Kapha dosha. And remember, the same thing happens in the body. When you put hot water in the body, it actually helps you digest your food. It serves as a cleanser, kindles the Agni. And this is why we always say drink only warm water or hot water, especially if you have a very slow digestion, Manda Agni, then that's what you need to do. And drinking cold water or normal water really may not cook the food. If you have a weak digestion, it's the same thing on the stove. If you don't have heat in the water, then you cannot cook any vegetables, nothing in the water. So this is something to think about. Samskara number 3, it is Toya Agni Sannikarshana. So it is a combination of both water and fire treatment. So this would include things like boiling, simmering, stewing, steaming, and also pressure cooker, which we use in the modern times. And then of course nowadays we even have the instant pot. And then again also slow cooking could be another example of this treatment. So there are a few things we can talk about this method of cooking. First of all, let's talk about rice. So when you eat, you cannot eat raw rice because you really cannot digest it well. But when you boil it in the water, you actually digest it so much better. Now, if you roast the rice first, so instead of heat first, then cook it and boil it in water, it's even better, makes it much lighter. The second thing we can talk about is tamarind. Now, the tamarind is something, people do eat it raw in India sometimes, but it's actually sour in taste and also sour vipaka, post-digestive effect. Digestion stage happens in the small intestine, so it is sour in nature. However, when you boil it, when you cook it, then it actually changes the rasa. It changes to a madura, which is a sweet and sour taste, sweet and sour taste for taste. And the post-digestive effect actually becomes sweet. So what happens is when it is only sour and sour, then it increases pitta, the heat in the body. However, when you boil it and cook it this way, like we make sambar or, sambar which is with the dal, or even without the dal, we call it koramba or pulisu. That one actually, helps you pacify the pitta because you're boiling it. So that is the advantage of making those dishes. And these are traditional dishes that we're used to in India, and we've been cooking like that for years without even knowing why. But it's good to know that it is not going to be affecting you. Even if you have hyperacidity or whatever, those things will not affect you as long as you're boiling it and making it. And that is why you need to make sure you're boiling it long enough, at least like 20 to 30 minutes before you eat it, because that will change the property of the tamarind. Now, the third thing, of course, is pressure cooker. Now, pressure cooker is something from the modern times. Obviously, Ayurveda did not have the concept in the old age, but pressure cooker is something we all use, especially nowadays. We have very short amount of time. We want to do things very quickly. Pressure cooker does help us make things faster. It is not the ideal thing because you could overcook food, overcook vegetables and things like that. but still better than some of the other microwave and those kinds of things. So pressure cooker is okay, and of course nowadays we have the instant pot as well. So these are some methods which use this kind of treatment. Samskara number 4 is called Shaucham, or cleaning. So basically anything can be washed, cleaned. When you clean it with water, then you're purifying, removing a lot of the physical impurities in the food itself. So that is an important part of cooking or processing of food. Fifth one is called Manthanam, or churning. So for this we can use example of yogurt. Now this is very common in Indian culture. The yogurt is called Abhishandi. Abhishandi means it blocks the pores, the sweat glands and some of the channels in the body, and increases the kapha dosha in the body. So that is why yogurt should never be eaten at dinner time or at breakfast time, which both are kapha time, because it will just makes it so much more heavy and much harder to digest. Already your weak digestion is there during those times. You don't want to eat it. So what they do is do this process called manthanam, or churning. So you add a water to that and you churn the buttermilk. The quantity is like 1/4 cup of yogurt and 3/4 cup of water. Beat it up, remove the butter and make it into a buttermilk. And you can even add spices, which I've talked about before, and drink it this way. It's actually better for you. But if you do eat yogurt, it's always better to eat it during lunchtime when the Agni is much better than at other times of the day. And that is what Ayurveda talks about. So those were the 5 samskaras given by Charaka. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about some harmful methods of cooking that we use in our modern times. For example, deep frying. I think deep frying, everybody knows, is not the best option. And then, of course, barbecuing, charring, and microwaving. So these are some of the methods we all cook with. So what happens? First of all, let's take deep frying. When you deep fry something, what happens is you are actually making it much heavier, and the oil and the starch combination is not a very good thing. For example, they've shown that when potato is deep fried, it causes this toxin called acrylamide, which is secreted and which is actually a carcinogen. So definitely eating potato chips every day, or french fries, or tater tots, all of these things that are potatoes deep fried, or even samosa, if you're eating it on a regular basis every day, then you're going to cause a lot of ama in the body and cause inflammation and diseases. So once in a while, of course, we all enjoy these things. So if you eat it once in a while, maybe once a month or something like that, a few pieces here and there, make sure you take care of your body. Make sure you drink some hot water and just try to cleanse the system then and there, so it doesn't start to accumulate over a period of time. So that is deep frying. Now the second thing, of course, what you need to know about all of these cooking methods is it does lower the prana in the food. Prana means the nourishing effect of the food is lost. It doesn't give you the nourishment that you need when you eat, because it is not a fresh way of making food. So, and the only reason we eat food is for prana. So again, over a period of time, this will also increase the tamasic qualities in the body of dullness and inertia, both in the body and the mind. So we need to be very cautious how often we use these kinds of methods. Third thing to talk about is microwave. Now microwave, we all use microwave for the sake of time, for the sake of convenience. We just pop something in there, or even for leftovers, you pop it in the microwave and then boom, it's ready. Unfortunately, microwave, we don't know how the radiation works, how they change the molecular structure of the food. And we also know that it does very uneven heating, so it doesn't heat the food completely like we do on a stove. So definitely digestion is going to be a problem because it is erratic, and it is also going to lead to ama. So if you're doing, so try to use microwave very sparingly, not all the time. Even if you have to reheat something with liquid or whatever, just try to do it on the stove rather than using a microwave for that. Only use it when you absolutely need it, need to use it. So try to minimize that, at least by 50% of what you've been doing so far. And then the fourth thing I also wanted to mention about the deep frying oil. Now Ayurveda talks about reheating oil, which is very bad, and it causes a lot of produces toxins, which is bad for the body. But modern literature also supports that. As a dietitian, I remember we have studied that, and we talked about never reheating the oil. Even if you do reheat it, we were told at least filter it one time, get rid of a lot of the impurities and use it. But again, it's preferable not to do it. But sometimes in deep frying that does happen. So definitely at least filter it. Don't use it more than one more time. Again, this is not exact science. Obviously, that is not something you should do. But if at all you do it, you should at least filter it and use it. So these are some of the harmful methods of cooking to be used sparingly. So pay attention to all of these things during this week and see what are the methods of cooking you're using more often. So to give you a recap of today's episode, there are 5 samskaras mentioned in Charaka Samhita. Well, first one is water treatment, like soaking and sprouting, which improves the quality of the food as well as helps with digestion. The second one is fire treatment, which includes baking, broiling, roasting, and also air frying. All of these methods can be helpful to reduce kapha dosha and make the food lighter. Then the third one is water and fire treatment, and this can include things like boiling, stewing, simmering, pressure cooking. All of these things are helpful to pacify both vata and pitta. And then of course shaucha, which is cleaning. Cleaning helps to remove a lot of the physical impurities in the food. And then the last one is mantana or churning, which we talked about buttermilk. When we add water and churn things and remove the butter, you're actually making things a little lighter, and it's good for kapha dosha and also vata dosha. And again, then I mentioned some of the harmful effects of microwaving, charring, barbecuing, and also deep frying. So these are some things to pay attention to this week and see what kind of methods you enjoy, how you feel when you eat foods made by these different methods. Do you feel healthy when you eat microwave food? How do you feel about making fresh food? See how your body responds to these kinds of things and how well your bowel movement is after all of these things. So have a wonderful week ahead and see you next week. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you for joining me. If you like this episode, please like it, subscribe, and share with friends and family who could be benefited by it. And again, remember, listen to your body, observe your mind, and help yourself. Have a wonderful week ahead. See you next week.